Hello everybody, here we are working on a photo of Tiffany, and there's a few things I want to kind of fix before I even get into some of the skin retouching and some of the other things I'm going to do throughout the photo that you kind of expect with the most portrait photos. But first up, I kind of want to clean up this background a little bit. I don't mind that, it's kind of, the snow is kind of starting to melt, the grass is kind of peeking out a little bit, but I really want to make sure that the focus is on her and we don't have too many distractions in the background. So first up is I made a new layer here, and I'm using the clone stamp tool, and you can see I'm at 100% opacity, 100% flow, and my sampling is at current and below, and that's pretty important to make sure that you're recognizing where your sampling is, because you'll change that quite a bit depending on what technique it is that we're trying to do. So this we're on a new layer just to keep things easy and clean and non-destructive, but I want to pull from that background layer that's below it. That's why we're on current and below. You could also use the all layers sampling right now here too, and that'd be fine, but just kind of unnecessary with our two layers. So because this is really just kind of a blurred out snowy backdrop here, it's pretty easy for me to just kind of pull from different areas of the background and just use that clone stamping tool to kind of smooth it all out. You can just see me kind of going through here and just cleaning up that background so it's just, I don't know, a little more blown out, a little less distracting from our subject. And I don't really mind the edges to start, so we're going to fix that here in a little bit. I think more than anything I just want to get nice even coverage, so we get this just nice snowy sort of field behind her and less of these kind of random pockets of grass popping out that kind of pull your eye away from her with her white outfit to kind of match the snow. So I won't really worry so much to start as far as these edges, because I can come back and you can see now I'll make a layer mask and clean up those edges a little bit. So just go ahead and be a little messy to begin. It's really easy to clean these up when you're working on separate non-destructive layers. So next we're going to use our frequency separation, and you can see I'm going to make my duplicate layers, my low color layer and my high texture layer, and I set my Gaussian blur just right so that I can blur out all the texture that's present, and then I'm going to apply that to the high layer, and that's what creates the texture layer separate from the color. We'll walk through this much more in depth in a future video. Just kind of see how the technique is used here, and then now, since we've properly separated those layers, I can really easily, now that I'm on this high texture layer, I'm using the clone stamp tool, 100% opacity, 100% flow on the current layer, so only affecting that texture, and I can just pull from, maybe smoother parts of her skin, or you can see I'm pulling from right next to where some of these hair and flyaways are, and then I'm able to just paint right over the hair with texture right next to it that's much cleaner. So you can use this to remove wrinkles, to remove flyaways, to remove blemishes, stray eyelashes on her cheek, any of those sort of things. Makes it really easily once you kind of set yourself up, and then you can just kind of one by one clean up these little spots here. This is a great way to very naturally do a skin retouch and still preserve the pores, of the skin. We're not trying to make porcelain Barbie dolls here. We are working with real people, and real people have pores, and that's okay. So just going for a very natural retouch here, you wouldn't even know that her hair was in her face, and that's kind of the goal, is that once the work is done, hopefully they don't even realize quite how much work went into cleaning up that particular image. So as we're working here to remove these flyaways, you're going to see, the texture's looking really good. You're going to start to see some of that color is still kind of remaining a little bit from the hair. The hair is a darker color than her skin is underneath it there. So it's leaving a little bit of that kind of color left over behind, but that's okay. We're going to fix that here in a little bit. Again, right now we're working just on that high texture layer, and so really texture is the only thing that we should be focusing on, because we'll fix the color here in just a little bit. Alright, so now that we got all those different strands of hair out of her face. Now we're gonna go to that low color layer, and I'm using my mixer brush tool to even out the color. And you can see I'm just using the mixer brush to push the lighter spots onto the darker spots, and it's really gonna just smooth out this whole image here. On both now texture and color, and again, that really nice natural skin retouch. Now also use this mixer brush tool to just ever so slightly minimize those shadows that everybody gets under their eyes, and just even out some of the skin tone, other little shadows that just happen, you know, on people's face. The lighting was beautiful this day, you know, and Tiffany's a great model, but everybody gets these little kind of blemishes and just little imperfections that we can just make a little bit better using that frequency separation and mixer brush technique. So here's a little before and after. You can see as I'm flipping on and off, wow, what a difference. And just removing those hairs, just a little bit less distracting, a little bit more flattering, and we'll continue with this retouch here in future videos.